Hello, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about innovation and why innovation fails, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Innovation is wonderful, but it also can be incredibly frustrating, particularly if you're an innovation leader or an entrepreneur. Today we're going to be talking about the six-step innovation framework from the Big Bang Partnership. And what this does is it helps you manage all aspects of innovation so that you've got an even better chance of helping more of your innovation succeed and getting there more quickly and with lower risk as well. So I hope you enjoy this video and podcast, and that you get something from it, and let me know what you think. As always, I'm really happy to answer all your questions in the comments. I'll come back to every one of them. So let's think about innovation, because most innovations fail. In fact, 70 to 90% of innovations fail, according to studies in publications such as the Harvard Business Review. And that's a really high number. And one of the reasons for those is that there isn't a clear process. People are missing out key steps. This is why we're going to focus today on the six-step innovation framework. And if you want a deep dive into this, you'll find an article, a free article on the Big Bang Partnership website. So go to bigbangpartnership.co.uk and just go to the blog page and type in innovation framework in the search bar, and this article will come up. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that there's a QR code and you can link to the article there. Now, getting started, let's think about why do most innovation initiatives fail? And the first reason is that they are ignoring the customer needs. Now, some of your innovations, of course, might be internal, right? You might be doing things to improve a process in-house. It's not external customer facing. But when we're talking about customers, we mean anyone really who's going to benefit from your innovation. That could be a staff member, an employee, or it could be a paying customer. But innovations fail when solutions miss what customers really need, what they're looking for. They're solving the wrong problem. They're not solving the problem in the right way. And this is often down to doing not enough market research, not enough contact with customers. And another reason that innovations fail is through lack of testing and scaling. We need robust prototyping, iterative testing, and knowing how we're going to take something, or having an idea about how we might take something from being, a small test through to something that we can scale up and use more broadly. Often innovation projects are siloed. You have them separate from the business. They're not integrated with business planning, and there can be a small team of people working aside from everybody else on innovation projects. And actually, what research shows again is that when things are a holistic part of what the enterprise, of what the business or organisation is trying to do, innovation is far more successful. The fourth reason why most innovations fail is a culture of risk aversion. So this fear of failure really stifling experimentation, discouraging bold and transformative ideas, being too tentative and not being brave enough about trying things within, a sensible amount of risk. And finally, absence of a clear roadmap. So without a good process, a defined process, those great ideas are getting lost, not developed and delivered well, and that's failing to translate into tangible outcomes. So, there's lots going on there to tackle when it comes to dealing with innovation and having innovations work successfully in your organisation. So by using the six-step framework that we're about to go through, you'll get better results. If you are a corporate leader in innovation or leading innovation projects, this will help you to align your teams and innovation projects directly with the strategic goals, and also make innovation a disciplined part of the business. I think a lot of people think that to be innovative and succeed in innovation, you've just got to be wildly creative and intuitive, and those things really, really do help. but they are enabled and accelerated by great structure and great process, which is what this 6-step innovation framework brings to the table. For entrepreneurs, this helps give you a clear roadmap to getting your ideas off the ground, from having the idea to refining it, testing it, and so on, doing the right thing at the right time. And if you're an innovation consultant, you've got a repeatable method here that you can guide your teams through to tangible outcomes. You can also use this process as part of your innovation sprint planning, maybe your design thinking or design sprint workshops that you do. You know, you can do a compressed version and design activities around that, and I give you some tips on how to do that along the way. So in this 6-step innovation framework, you have, of course, 6 clear steps. This helps you to take the guesswork out of innovation with a structured approach. It's 100% versatile, so you can use this for any type of innovation, from something that's really small through to something that's really huge. It doesn't matter what sector you're in. It's really, really versatile. It will help give you a faster time to market. It's an evidence-based process that moves you from ideas to real-world impact. And of course, that leads to fewer failures, better investment of your time and money, just a greater hit of success rate. So it's a systematic approach that will really help you, but it's flexible at the same time. It gives you a clear plan. So moving from chaos of having an idea, how do we make this work, what do we do next? By having this simple step-by-step process, it gives clarity on how to move forward. As I've said, these are science-based, evidence-based best practices. They're based on proven methods from leading innovators, and they're easy to use. I use these every single day working with my innovation clients around the world, and in my own business as well. It works for any industry, as we've said: tech, finance, healthcare, manufacturing, and more. And the important thing is it's no more innovation theatre. Talking about innovation, but not really doing it and not really getting it off the ground. It helps you bring real solutions that have depth, that drive growth, that give you an edge and make a true difference. Let's now dive into the framework and have an overview of it. There are 3 phases to the 6-step innovation framework, with the 6 steps. The first of the steps is envisioning potential, so finding where there is opportunity to work and make a difference, and then sparking creativity, having ideas on how you're going to tap into that opportunity. The step 3 is about expanding possibilities, refining the best of those ideas and making them work. Forging pathways is then step 4. It's about taking that forward, making it happen. Step 5, action plans, moving into real implementation. And step 6 is growth, where you're scaling the solution and measuring the impact. So that was a very quick headline for each of the 6 steps. I'm now going to do a deeper dive into each of those. So phase 1 is ignite, getting it going. And step 1 is, as I've said, envisioning potential. It's about uncovering new opportunities. So innovation starts by asking, are we solving the right problem? And this is really around identifying any needs that are unmet, any problems our customers are having, looking at emerging trends and any breakthrough opportunities. And how do we find those opportunities? How do we discover them? Well, one of the things we can do is to scan the landscape, thinking about customer pain points, market trends, any shifts in the market. And this is really important because the world is always changing. That means that customers' needs and expectations are always changing, and that creates ongoing infinite opportunity for all sorts of innovation to happen. So being really tuned in to your landscape is important. If you're interested in that, I've got another video on the channel on horizon scanning, so do look at that. think about engaging in creative thinking by looking and staying connected with the latest research and focusing on finding the right problem. You might want to create an opportunity log. This is about collecting data points over several weeks and looking for patterns in things like complaints, reports, scanning for new technologies, and so on. And it's super important as well to engage with diverse voices and diverse ideas, diverse people, because the greater diversity you have, the more opportunity and perspectives you'll be able to tap into. So step 2 in the first phase, which is Ignite. Step 2 is about structured ideation for breakthrough thinking. Once you've identified which opportunities you want to work on and you think have the greatest potential, the next step is to really work on some ideas, get some ideas about how you're going to tap into that potential and using some structure to enable that creativity again. Going beyond brainstorming, we can do better than just, let's sit around and brainstorm. That use proven techniques that will help you. So things like design thinking, hackathons, as I've said, using diverse perspectives, but there are also some really cool techniques that you can use, such as the Scamper methodology, where you substitute, combine, adapt, modify, you're doing different things, looking at the challenge in different ways, using Crazy Eights, rapid sketching. That's having 8 different ideas in 8 minutes and you sketch each one, on a time limit of that. And customer journey mapping, map the customer journey from start to finish as it is and looking for opportunities to improve that. Again, I've got another video, a really deep dive on customer journey mapping as well on the YouTube channel and on the podcast as well. So all of these are free resources. Once you've then got your ideation, you've got lots of ideas and some that you think might be really, really valuable, the next phase is expand. So phase 2 is expand, developing and testing those solutions, seeing which ideas are going to be best. Step 3 then, expanding possibilities, is about choosing which ideas you want to work on and prototyping and testing those really, really quickly. So separate promising ideas through quick experimentation and feedback. Our mantra in this phase is to test early, test cheap, create simple models or minimum viable products or propositions rather than investing heavily. So we want to do things that just give us enough feedback and enough data and information so that we know whether or not we want to continue to invest in this particular idea. So build some prototypes, get some feedback and iterate fast. Fail fast, learn faster and de-risk your innovation journey. That's the step 3, expanding possibilities. And then when you've done that, you can move to step 4 in the 6-step innovation framework, which is forging pathways, turning ideas into solutions that can grow. So after testing, you've got a good idea, and now you can turn that into a real solution that works for everyone, moving this from a successful experiment now into something that you can commercialize, something that you can actually use. It's important, firstly, to get leaders on board, get support from top management or whoever you need to influence to get any investment, to get a budget, to get a project team pulled together to build your product or service. Plan the steps ahead, what you're going to do from building to launching, including the product details, the test programs, marketing programs, and how it will operate. And answer these key questions: how we build it for real, what resources do we need, what's the business model? By a business model, I mean, how is this going to sustain itself? How is it going to make money? How is it going to operate commercially for real in the real world? And finally, think about, are there any rules we need to follow? There might be regulation, things that you need to comply with, things that the market would expect from you. Okay, so we've had phases 1 and 2, which were phase 1 was ignite, phase 2 was expand, phase 3 is accelerate. And the 2 steps in here are all about scaling and sustaining the innovation. So step 5 is making it happen. We're now moving into execution. We're moving into implementation and scaling it. By scaling, I mean taking it from being a small idea, something that we can test and works, in a small way as an experiment on paper, to something that you can do on a much bigger and wider level. So we're transitioning from project mode to full execution. We're looking at how we integrate the innovation into the core business. So that's a really important point to consider, and launching it and rolling out internally as well as externally. And it's really as well about how we ramp up production, expand infrastructure, and train staff. And we're now in this phase optimizing profit model. So we're really zooming outwards and upwards, and making this work as an integrated part of the commercial operation of the organization. So a practical tip here is to treat the scale up as a product launch. Set and monitor KPIs such as revenue, adoption, efficiency, and work with a cross-functional team to, it really needs intensive care, this phase, from taking a product and launching it to then growing it and making it work, which leads me into step 6, which is growth and continuous improvement for sustained success, because the innovation doesn't end at launch. It needs hypercare. It needs hypercare for an extended period to make sure that the innovation reaches its full potential. It's no good to launch and then be done. You need to keep being attentive. And are there any tweaks? Are there any developments that need to be made? Is there more marketing that's needed? Is the communication around the innovation working well? So in this step, we are focusing on continuous improvement and adapting the innovation as we need to market needs, as we learn more and more as we're scaling. We're monitoring performance, tracking customer feedback, usage data, key business metrics. We're having feedback process with feedback loops for the innovation process itself. We're iterating and enhancing the innovation through regular reviews on how we're doing based on the market response, and we're nurturing the innovation culture that we have in the organisation. So when you're using the 6-step innovation framework in this way, what you're doing is you're creating a repeatable engine for innovation that drives growth and market leadership on an ongoing basis. And actually, it's also worth having an innovation champion, someone who is designated to really champion and be the ambassador for that innovation in your organisation, to make sure that it works through. So there we have the 3 phases and the 6 steps. The 6 steps being looking for opportunity, which is envisioning potential, sparking creativity through structured ideation, expanding possibilities, picking the best ideas and refining and prototyping and doing tests, forging pathways, which is once you've decided which ones you're going to go with, aligning those selected ideas to the business goals, making it happen, executing action plans, allocating resources and going for it, and then hypercare, nurturing growth to make sure you get the full potential from the innovation, and then everything's working together. The production, the communication, the sales aftercare, all of those things. And what this does is, firstly, it gives you a nice clear set of 6 steps to work through and make sure you're not missing any out, because this is why innovations fail. All those reasons why innovations fail that I mentioned at the beginning of this are all because they are steps that are missed out from this 6-step innovation framework. We need to complete all the steps in order to get an innovation that has its best chance of success. If we're not meeting customers' needs, it's because we've not tested it properly. If we're working in silos in the organisation, it's because we've not done the internal launch correctly. And what these 6 steps do is it gives you the framework so that you don't miss out any of these steps. Now, what I would say is that although this sounds nice and linear and logical, in reality, you might move backwards and forwards between the steps. So this might be, and I bet it is, it's more likely to be actually messier in practice than it is on paper. And that's just that's inherent of to innovation. It's part of the process. Um, Everything doesn't go smoothly. Once you've got your ideas and you've tested them, you're going to learn something, some stuff that might make you need to go back to the drawing board with your ideas. So you're going to be moving backwards and forwards between these stages all the time, and that's okay. That's as it should be. But the stages are all there and they need to be done, and they need to be worked through and iterated until you get to a point where you can get your innovation out there and really start to scale it. And this is what we're doing, is we're making innovation as predictable and scalable as we possibly can, right? And no innovation has any guarantees. It can be really challenging, but with the right framework, what you can do is significantly increase your chances of success. This gives you clarity, it gives you clear direction instead of chaotic brainstorming and just bouncing off intuition and figuring out what you need to do next. Making it up as you go along. It gives you structure, systematic process instead of relying on luck alone. Luck is important. It's good to have a bit of luck on the way, and it's good to have that underpinned by systematic process that enables that as well. It builds confidence because you're making evidence-based decisions all the way throughout the innovation process, so that you can be more confident to move on to the next step, and your next steps will be clearer because you've got the evidence to inform what those next steps should be as well. And it gives you repeatability. You can repeat this framework over and over and use it for all the innovations in your organisation, so that you develop innovation as a real competence, something that you can repeat over and over and over in your organisation. So they're the 6 steps: envisioning potential, sparking creativity, expanding possibilities, forging pathways, making it happen, and growth. And each step is crucial and interconnected, and following them sequentially and moving backwards and forwards between them as you need to, as you learn something, and taking a step back and then going again, what that does is it builds a really sustainable innovation engine for your organisation. I hope that's been really useful for you. It's your turn now. I want you to take some action today. So firstly, if you found this useful, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel so that more people get to see it. That would be great. And if you're listening on the podcast, then please leave a comment and a like as well. And all comments on YouTube and on the podcast channels, I will reply to each of those individually. But think about, firstly, a challenge or opportunity in your business. Start with step 1, or identify where, if you're midway through a project, then identify where you are. Have you done the previous steps? Have you worked through those already? Are there any steps that you've missed? You maybe need to go back, but start to apply the framework immediately. It's practical, it's actionable, it works in real life, it's very pragmatic. Because, as we've said, with the right process, innovation becomes a repeatable success story for your organisation, and you can be the one that really drives that change and leads that for your organisation. What I'd love you to do is to please connect with me, share your challenges, get support, and you can access, I've got loads of free resources for you on the Big Bang Partnership website. It's bigbangpartnership.co.uk, including a free article that talks about this 6-step innovation framework in lots of detail. Scan the QR code if you're watching on YouTube. It's there on the screen for you now. And if you're listening or you prefer, go to bigbangpartnership.co.uk and go to the blog section and just type in innovation framework in the search bar, and it will all pop up for you. I do this because I hope it's useful for you, so I would love to hear what you think. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be back live next week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Idea Time Show, brought to you by Dr. Joe North. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and access more completely free resources at bigbangpartnership.co.uk/resources. We'll see you next time.